Good evening. It's Saturday, the 11th of February, and it's time for the news on RIK2. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres made clear that no date has been set yet for a second international conference on Cyprus in Geneva. But he is optimistic that efforts will continue at the highest level and will enable significant progress. Speaking during a press conference in Istanbul last night with Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim, Guterres went as far as to quote the European Union's founding father, Jean Monnet, saying, "I am neither pessimist nor optimist. I am merely determined." The leading role, he added, belongs to the divided island's two communities and the three guarantor powers, Greece, Turkey and Britain. The two leaders of both communities, he said, have weekly meetings and are making progress in relation to the outstanding issues on the internal aspects, while security and guarantees should be discussed with the guarantors. Guterres noted, however, that the two processes are interconnected and therefore there is still no fixed date for the conference. In his turn, Yildirim said the issue of security and guarantees is very important to Turkey and that the future of Turkish Cypriots must be secured. At the same time, the head of the High Election Board in Turkey today announced that the country will hold a referendum on April the 16th on proposed changes to the constitution that would replace its parliamentary system with the executive presidency sought by Tayyip Erdogan. Analysts believe the UN-brokered Cyprus reunification process is affected by the upcoming referendum, which could see Erdogan remain in power until 2029. British deputies, members of the all-party parliamentary group for Cyprus in the House of Commons, who are on the island for contacts with Cypriot officials, had a meeting today with Humanitarian Affairs Commissioner Fotis Fodiou. Fodiou called on the British delegation to put pressure on Ankara to release crucial evidence regarding mass graves and removal of remains of Greek Cypriots missing since the 1974 Turkish invasion. The British delegation, chaired by Sir Roger Gale, includes David Burrows, Theresa Villas, Stephen Hepburn, Matthew Offord and Stephen Patterson, as well as Baroness Macy from the House of Lords. German Defence Minister Ursula von der Leyen has said that a US call for NATO partners to step up funding for the transatlantic alliance is a fair demand. Germany and other European powers were unnerved when President Donald Trump, during the election campaign, accused NATO allies of failing to pay their way and described the alliance shortly before he took office last month as obsolete. Trump offered some reassurance this week when he told US forces, "We strongly support NATO." German minister also said Berlin, which spends less than the NATO target of 2% of economic output on defence, understood it needed to increase that amount. US President Donald Trump is considering issuing a new executive order banning citizens of certain countries traveling to the United States after his initial attempt to clamp down on immigration and refugees snarled to a halt amid political and judicial chaos. Trump has announced the possibility of a brand new order that could be issued as soon as Monday or Tuesday. His signalling of a possible new tack came a day after an appeals court in San Francisco upheld a court ruling last week that temporarily suspended Trump's original January the 27th executive order banning travel from 7 majority Muslim countries. Trump gave no details of any new ban he is considering. He might rewrite the original order to explicitly exclude green card holders or permanent residents. Doing that could alleviate some concerns expressed by the courts. A new order, however, could allow Trump's critics to declare victory by arguing he was forced to change course in his first major policy as president. Australian emergency services were bracing against potentially catastrophic fire conditions as firefighters battled nearly 50 blazes in the state of New South Wales, sweltering in a heatwave sweeping the country's east coast. Weather officials fear temperatures could hit 48 degrees centigrade in some areas, setting a record for the state's hottest February day ever. People have been banned from setting fires and some major sports events have been cancelled. The extreme heat rolling out of Australia's desert interior will also push temperatures in the northeastern state of Queensland and the Australian Capital Territory, home to the capital Canberra, to uncomfortable levels on the weekend. Four people died and more than 100 were injured after a powerful earthquake struck the island of Mindanao in the southern Philippines last night, damaging some structures and cutting power in many areas. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said there was no tsunami threat from the earthquake. People rushed to open spaces and spent the night in parks and shelter areas, while officials closed the area's airport because of cracks on the runway. And now a look at tomorrow's weather. Mostly sunny, but the occasional cloud could bring along some isolated local showers and light snowfall over the mountains. Winds will be light to moderate easterly to northeasterly, force 3 to 4 over slight seas. Temperatures will reach 15 Celsius inland, 16 in coastal regions and 5 over the mountains. The depth of snow is 40 centimetres on Mount Olympus and 30 over the Troodos Square. That's all from us today. Join us tomorrow again for more news in English. Have a very good evening.